Hey everyone, it's Jen and welcome to my home again. It's the middle of the day right now, so my husband's at work, daughter's at school, house is quiet, pretty much cleaned. I love to sit down and just give myself a good pick-me-up with some nice coffee. And when I was sitting down thinking earlier this week what I should do for dessert week, I thought of the most amazing dessert, a great spin-off of a classic, a red velvet biscotti with a Philadelphia cream cheese frosting. How cool is that? And I have some done already. I'm going to show you the video, and while you're looking at the video, I'm going to get a little bit of me time, you know what I mean? So to get started on the dry ingredients, I'm just going to use 2 cups of cake flour. You can find this just by the regular flour, but I love it. It has an extra sweetness to it. And then I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of cornmeal. Now I like the cornmeal because it kind of gives the cookie a little bit of an extra texture after you bake it. So I definitely encourage you to try with this. And then I'm going to take 1 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. And I really like this Hershey's brand. This is what I use when I cook with the traditional red velvet cake. So that's what I'm using in this. Like I said, just 1 cup. Very good. Yum. And then we're just going to add 1½ teaspoons of baking powder. And I like the baking powder because it helps the cookies to rise just a little bit. So there's a 1/2 one and 1 teaspoon. So 1½ teaspoons. And now we're just going to stir this all together and our dry ingredients are done. How easy is this? So many times when you cook with a cookie or a cake, you go to the store and you buy the pre-made stuff, and that's all this is the pre-made dry ingredients. You still have to work with the wet ingredients though. So we're going to move on to the wet ingredients. On to the easy part, we're just going to add in 1 cup of sugar into a bowl. And I have 4 eggs that are at room temperature. I like to cook with room temperature ingredients. That way everything combines very well. And as Paula Deen says it best, she likes to crack it in a separate bowl to make sure that there's nothing wrong with the eggs. So I'm going to do this and just plop it in here. And I have 3 more to go. That was easy enough, right? Now I'm just going to take my mixer and go ahead and mix this until it's a pale yellow, which all that means is the sugar is dissolving into the eggs. So this will take just a couple of minutes. This has become a nice pale yellow, exactly what we're looking for. Only a couple more ingredients. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. It's just going to give it a nice flavor. Who doesn't love vanilla? And if you don't have vanilla extract, or if you have the vanilla bean, I love vanilla beans too. Oh, especially all that little specks of black that you know is part of the vanilla bean. Super yummy. Now I'm just going to add in 2 of these red food colorings because we are, remember, making a red velvet biscotti. So we want it super red, and each one of these is 1 ounce, so it's just going to be 2 ounces. And I know it seems like a lot, but trust me, it's not, and you really want it to be nice and red, especially with the cocoa powder. So we're going to just add that and blend this together real quick. Oh, nice and pretty. See how simple this is? So easy. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take our dry ingredients and just pour a little bit in at a time, just so it's all really nice and incorporated. And so you don't get it all over yourself too, of course, right? And this would be one of those great recipes if you had a buddy here to help you pour this in. Very good. So I've stopped using the mixture because it is a very thick, dense dough, so I'm just kind of stirring in the rest. And what I'm going to do now, this is definitely optional, but you're really going to love it, and your guests are going to love it too. I have these little mini chocolate chips, and I'm just going to add in about 3/4 of a cup of this, or a little more. I really like these, and after they cook, when you bite into them, oh, yum. So then just work it and get all these incorporated in there as well. This batter is looking delish. So I think we're ready to put this onto a cooking sheet. And I have my cookie sheet here lined in parchment paper, and I'm just going to kind of half this in the bowl. It's really sticky, FYI. Whoop. And I'm just going to roll out, kind of like make 2 logs of this, if that kind of makes sense. So just kind of lightly press it in, and a little bit more. And you could definitely get some flour. That might be a little bit wiser than me not having any flour right at the moment. Now I have my oven preheated at 325, and I'm just going to stick these in the oven for about 35 minutes. And then I'm going to take them out and cut them and put them in there again. Because biscotti is all about double baked cookies, and that's where the name comes from. So we got our cookies out of the oven, and now we're just cutting them into about 1 inch thick. And we're going to cook them again. And I already have one that I cut it and I laid it down. And the second cooking process is what's going to get it nice and crispy, what you know of normal biscotti is. And of course I tried a little bit of the end, and it is so delicious. Reminds me just of the red velvet cake that I love. And I love the coarseness too of the cornmeal that offers with it. So after this, we're going to actually stick it back in the oven for another 15 to 20 minutes, and while that's cooking, we're going to start making our cream cheese frosting. Now our red velvet biscotti would not be complete with our Kraft Philadelphia cream cheese frosting, and I'm going to show you how to make it. It is super easy. First off, I used the 1/3 less fat. Again, Kraft has done a great job with keeping the flavor, with reducing some of the fat, and I'm going to use 1 8-ounce block that I have at room temperature. So pretty much once you start your cookies, bring this out and it'll be room temperature by that time. And then I'm going to have 1 stick, which is a 1/2 cup of butter. And I have the unsweetened butter, or unsalted butter, I'm sorry, because I like to control the salt content. That's what I get for talking and trying to multitask. I'm not very good at it. So I'm just going to get this all incorporated so it's nice and creamy. Very good. So I got our cream cheese and our butter nice and creamed. Now I have 2 cups of powdered sugar. I'm just going to add about half of this and start incorporating that. Otherwise I'm going to have powdered sugar all over me. Very good. And this is just really going to sweeten it up very nicely, as you know most traditional frostings have. This is so creamy. It's so delicious. I'm going to top it off by adding in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Again, if you want to use a vanilla bean, you're more than welcome to. So I just eyeballed that. 1 teaspoon. We're just going to incorporate this in, and I think it's about time to check up on our cookies so we can frost them and, of course, eat them. Our cookies are out of the oven. All that we have to do now is frost them with our amazing Kraft Philadelphia cream cheese frosting. So let's go ahead and take one. They're nice and hard, and the longer that they're out, the more that they're going to set up too. So remember, when you're taking them out of the oven, don't expect them to be super hard right away like a normal biscotti. It will harden up as it cools off. But I'm going to go ahead and just ice them when they're still a little warm, because the icing will just kind of run down the sides, and this is going to be delicious. So I'm going to ice all of these up, and when I'm done with that, I'm going to pour myself a cup of coffee, and I'm going to sit down and enjoy my coffee with my biscotti. I told you it was easy, and it's such a great spin off of a classic. Even if you invite your girlfriends over for some afternoon coffee with you, they'll love this as well. So I hope you love it as much as I enjoyed showing you it. And join me again next time where I show you many more recipes with our star ingredient, Kraft Philadelphia cream cheese. I'm going to enjoy some more me time.